Hey everyone, today I'm talking about a little box that solved one of the most annoying problems in lighting setups, getting your Ethernet signal to talk to your DMX fixtures without a mess of adapters and guesswork. If you've ever spent an hour troubleshooting why your Artnet node isn't responding or why your RDM isn't showing up, this thing might be exactly what you need. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I ran into this headache last month when I was installing some new moving heads for a small venue. Everything looked right in the software, but the lights just wouldn't respond. After swapping cables, rebooting the console, and nearly giving up, I realized the issue wasn't the console or the lights, it was the cheap little Artnet node I'd grabbed off Amazon. It didn't support RDM, the screw terminals were flimsy, and the whole thing was basically a black box with no feedback. That's when I decided to try the Elation lighting EN12I Obsidian control Netron EN12I. First off, this thing is built like it's meant to live in a rack forever. The back-facing wiring plates make permanent installation clean and professional. You can mount it in a standard 19-inch rack without worrying about cables flopping around or getting yanked out accidentally. I've got mine tucked behind a switch in a road case, and the whole setup feels solid instead of jury-rigged. On the front panel, you get both a network port and a DMX output port. That might sound simple, but it's a huge time saver during load-in. No more crawling behind the rack to swap cables or hunting for the right adapter. Just plug your Ethernet in from the console, run a single DMX cable to your first fixture, and you're done. I've used it with both Artnet and sACN streams, and switching between the two is just a menu change, no extra hardware needed. RDM support is where this gateway really shines. I was able to discover and remotely patch all my fixtures without ever touching the ladder. I adjusted pan and tilt limits on a couple of moving heads, renamed them so I don't have to remember which is which, and even updated firmware on one unit, all from the console. That's the kind of convenience that used to require a dedicated RDM processor or a lot of extra dongles. The presets are another nice touch. I set up a couple of user presets for common scenes so I can recall them instantly without reconfiguring the network every time. The factory presets also made it easy to test the system right out of the box. I had a working DMX universe in under 5 minutes, which is pretty impressive for a piece of gear that isn't some massive console. I also like that it supports both screw terminals and IDC connectors. If you're doing a permanent install, the screw terminals give you a reliable connection that won't wiggle loose. If you're in a rental scenario and need to swap things out fast, the IDC option lets you punch down a cable quickly without stripping wires. I've used both, and neither has given me trouble so far. One thing I'll mention is the power supply. It's not included, so you'll need to budget for a reliable 5V DC adapter. I grabbed a 2-amp wall wart from my parts bin, and it's been fine. But if you're ordering this for a client, make sure they know to pick up a power supply at the same time. Also, the unit runs warm, so give it some airflow if it's going to be in a tight rack space for long periods. Overall, this gateway has turned what used to be a frustrating part of my workflow into something that just works. It's reliable, well-built, and the RDM and preset features save me time every single gig. If you're tired of wrestling with cheap Artnet nodes or missing out on RDM because your gear doesn't support it, this might be the box you need. Link is below if you want to take a closer look. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.